Now, according to one Stan Chu Ilo, an Igbo-Nigerian man and a research professor at DePaul University, Chicago, Illinois, in the eyes of many white police officers, being black and male in America makes you a potential criminal, a suspect, a troublemaker, and a dangerous person. Now, this conversation around this, we are asking, how is it for Africans living in the United States and being a black man in the country? As the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, green-lighted a crackdown on Black Lives Matter protesters. Now, this racial bias conversation follows the murders by police officers of Alton Sterling in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Philando Castile in Falcon Heights, Minnesota.
President Barack Obama has called once more for the reconciliation of the American people in a speech he gave at the Dallas Memorial Service for the 5 slain officers killed by a black Army veteran during protests in Dallas a few days ago, where one American family reiterated the head of state. But according to advocates of the Black Lives Matter movement, this is just a vain wish, and they believe the racial issue is more profound in the United States. Solidarity protests behind this movement have multiplied all over the world in the past few days. Senegalese population is expected to hold protests today in Dakar after South Africans who already held theirs, just as you can see there. It's not only the black Americans who feel affected by this problem. We had a discussion with George Kochu, who resides in Washington, and we asked him, do you think violence will solve the issue of inequality?
Oh, je crois que si vous aviez suivi un peu les informations juste au soir.
I believe that if you followed the news up to the evening of the second killing, there were protests in Washington, D.C.
Les gens sont beaucoup indignés. Et c'est juste après ça qu'on a eu le sniper qui a commencé.
People were protesting, and it's after that that the sniper began shooting on at the police in Dallas. But the general reaction is that people knew this day would come, so it's not surprising, but it's shocking, because everyone wants it to seem like it already passed, and that this reality does not exist in our society. But unfortunately it does, and we continue living with it. I'm not saying this is the solution to this problem.
Réaction à ce qui est vécu par beaucoup dans la communauté.
People are divided, and they know it's a reaction that many had suffered from in the black community. Personally, I don't think violence will solve the problem. And now everyone knows there are problems in both the black and the white communities. So this dialogue is very necessary.
Donc tout le monde pense que c'est le moment maintenant de ne plus cacher quoi que ce soit, de venir devant les télévisions pour que le débat s'engage. Ce dialogue est nécessaire et indispensable.
Would you say that you've had problems regarding your skin color?
Oh non, c'est légion.
Oh, it's frequent. And if you enter a place, the racism problem is real. There are things we encounter regularly. I remember a day when I was driving, I was wearing my African attire like the one I have now. The police stopped me to tell me that I didn't have a front plate. In some countries, the plate has to be behind and not in front. So I had the one behind, but I was still arrested.
Donc j'allais le faire, et il y avait celle de derrière, mais malgré ça, il m'a arrêté et il me donnait un ticket. Et bon, j'avais payé quand d'autres m'ont dit non, il fallait aller à la cour parce que ça va se régler là-bas. Il y a d'autres cas, on m'a arrêté clairement, deux policiers se disaient entre eux.
I was arrested and others even told me I could proceed to court to sue them as that was abuse. There are other cases I was clearly arrested, but you could...
n'est pas pareil.
But you could hear the police saying he is not from this country, and many Africans can attest to that. There's an equal treatment everywhere. Every time you have to show that you understand what's going on. One day at the courthouse, I was a member of the jury, and I was the only black. We had to decide on the fate of a young white man. and he was an addict. He was guilty. And I proposed a solution, but I was told not to speak because I didn't understand what was going on. And I told him, you cannot prevent me from speaking.
Il faut pouvoir s'exprimer et s'imposer chaque fois, alors que le blanc n'a pas besoin de faire ça.
Well, that was John Kochu in Washington, D.C., talking about Black Lives Matter and how Africans are in this whole play.